but also like in my personal life, like my family side, it was like, you know, I never said this in an interview, but I grew up like in a really toxic environment. My parents get divorced like twice. I think I used to tell them that I'm going to a party on Friday, but I was actually at the shul or Saturday.
Can I just tell you, like, people will tell their parents, like, they're going to synagogue and they're really going to a party. And you're telling your parents, I'm going to a party, and you're really secretly going to the synagogue. I mean, I feel like that must be a first, like Guinness Book of World Record first.
So for me, it was like really hard because I was living like a Jewish girl for 3 months, and then I just have to come back, and my mother is not well. So I told them, like in the midrasha, like, you know, the seminary, this is happening with my mother, and they say me, okay, like, come back. But they thought that I was like lying and I wasn't really into Judaism maybe, and this is like a way,
An excuse.
So it was like really hard for me to.
I feel like that's painful on all ends.
So
you start getting death threats.
Yeah, totally. People were writing like, I know where you live, I know your families, where they work. And I was like really afraid. I called to the police, and we just found out most people were like from Indonesia and all of these countries. And they were like, okay, so we can do anything because it's not like an actual threat.
Welcome to No Reservations, the most exclusive table in the world, where nothing is off limits. Each week, against the backdrop of the Western Wall, where heaven and earth meet, we invite a guest who has made big, bold, beautiful, life-changing choices, and is finally ready to talk about why. And today, we're diving into a story unlike anything you've ever heard before. My guest is someone whose entire life is a testament to reinvention, resilience, and the undeniable pull of truth. A woman who once lived under the lights of Mexican television and today stands under an entirely different kind of light, the light of Torah. Her name is Hannah Abitbul. Many of you first knew her as Ximena Orozco, from a child star on Mexican TV to a teenage telenovela actress recognized in restaurants and airports. Her life was full of fame, fans, and fortune. What no one knew was that beneath all the scripts, she was searching for meaning, for truth, for something deeper than applause. And one night, one YouTube video changed it all. A spark became a flame. A curiosity became a calling. A life became a journey that would take her from the studios of Mexico City to the synagogues of Jerusalem. From the red carpet to cleaning bathrooms, Hannah remained steadfast. She converted. She moved to Israel. She married. She became a mother. She became a voice and a source for Spanish-speaking souls seeking clarity, meaning, and truth. And then in the chaos after October 7th, she found herself at the center of an international controversy, resulting in death threats from across continents and her very own backyard. But even then, she didn't collapse. She didn't hide. Her journey is astonishing. Her courage is contagious. Her faith is alive. So sit with me, get comfy, and lean in. Because today at No Reservations, we are welcoming a woman reborn. A woman transformed not by fame, but by truth. And if this conversation moves you, if it sparks something inside you, please like, subscribe, comment, and share. It helps us grow this new, beautiful community and bring stories like Hannah's to the world. This is No Reservations. This is Hannah Abitbul. Hannah Abitbul, thank you so much and welcome to No Reservations. This is the most amazing table, if I do say so myself, in the entire world. What do you think?
Yeah, totally. I'm so grateful to be here. Like, the most amazing company, the view, the place. Wow, it's such an honor.
But I want to start at the beginning. When you're Ximena Orozco in Mexico City.
Yeah.
Mexico.
You say perfect.
You know I love Spanish.
Yeah.
I was like, I hope my Spanish teacher, Mrs. Baskin, is watching now. So, Hannah, you were a superstar. You walk down the street in Mexico City, Mexico, paparazzi following you, people taking pictures, an actress from a year and a half old. Tell us a little bit about that part of your life.
I grew up in Mexico City. My mother used to work at a model agency.
Yeah.
So I have an older sister, and she wasn't into it at all. She was afraid of cameras. So
I was wondering why you got the lucky job of being the actress of the family.
So my mother tried with the first one, and it didn't get so well. So she tried with me, and it was like I fell in love with the camera the first time I was in the audition. So I started at the age of, I think, 1.5, something like that, with the TV commercials. And then when I was 8 years old, I did my first telenovela.
That's like a soap opera for those who are watching.
Soap opera. It was an amazing experience. It was like a soap opera for kids. So like all of the cast were kids, and we were singing and having like a lot of fun. After that, I started to introduce myself in the soap opera world, and I did like a couple more. And then when I was a teenager, I was part of La Rosa de Guadalupe. It's like a really popular TV show in Mexico. Yeah. And yeah, that was my childhood, my teenage years.
Yeah. You know, it's so funny. My mom, they could be called stage moms, which I never thought of my mom that way. But when I was very young, also from 5, 6 years old, I was always at tryouts, at auditions, professional dancing, going for plays and for parts in different shows. And at the time, now we have like American Idol and Who's Got Talent. So then it was Star Search, and I did auditions for that. And I love the stage too. What do you think it says about you that you love the stage? When the camera comes on, you light up. And by the way, I see you here, even your eyes are glowing. You know, the camera's on, and I never noticed that about your eyes before. And they're just like, yes.
So I think we all have like a gift. We are talented in something. And Hashem put me like this, this is my talent, this is my gift. So I'm really thankful that my mother pushed me through all of this amazing journey and job.
Okay, so you love the stage, and things are going great, and you're getting cast in some of the most popular shows of your day. And why at 18 years old do you start searching for something else? Because you would think you had it all.
Yeah, I used to think that, but also in my personal life, my family side, it was I never said this in an interview, but I grew up in a really hard environment, toxic environment. My parents get divorced twice. I mean, with each other.
Did we discuss this? Say exactly what happened. They were married?
They were married. They get divorced when I was 10 years, I think. They would be apart, and they just come back.
They got married again?
They got married again, and they just split it again for good.
Hannah, that's my story.
Really?
Slightly different. My parents got married.
Yeah.
They got divorced.
Oh.
They married each other again. Then they had my sister and I. Were also 2 girls, and now they're divorced again. So I always say we're the products of the second marriage of the same people to each other.
Wow.
And very rarely you hear that people's parents got married. I can't believe we never discussed that.
So, the environment wasn't the best.
Right.
It was a lot of fighting and this and that. And I also felt like I didn't have structure in my life.
Did you always feel like that, or you only sort of recognized that when you became sort of 18, or as growing up you always
felt like that. I totally understand that my parents didn't have the best relationship.
Yeah.
So for me, I grew up with this stuff. I never want to get married. I don't want kids. It's not a good life. I want to be alone. This is how we grew up, my sister and I. We want to be happy, and I think marriage and kids is not
does not equal happiness.
Yeah.
And you grew up Catholic?
Yeah, we used to go to church, but not really religious.
And you kept Christmas?
Celebrated.
I said
Easter, all of these.
The big ones.
The big ones.
Uh-huh.
I remember my grandmothers, they used to be
Abuela.
Abuela. They used to be more religious and all of these.
Uh-huh.
So about Judaism, I always knew there's Jewish in the world.
Yeah.
I used to live near to a big community, Polanco.
Right.
Did you ever?
No, I've been to Mexico City for an unbelievable wedding.
Wow.
Where it was caviar for everyone. But on the way to the wedding, a few of the guests were kidnapped.
Whoa.
Was like, and then if you pay the ransom, then they give them back, and they made it for the dancing. You know, like it was just like one of those. It was a very prestigious family in Mexico City.
Yeah.
I know that there was a very nice Jewish community in Mexico City.
Yeah, so I used to live near to one of the communities, and I always saw like synagogues and kosher parts, like in the supermarket, you have like the kosher area.
Yeah.
And I knew that there is like Jewish in the world, and also like in the film industry, there are like a lot of Jewish people. Yeah. And I remember when I saw like in the close sheet, I saw like a couple of Jewish names.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I want to talk with them. Answer like.
Well, why? What was connecting you to like the Jewish people?
I was always interested and curious about it. I don't know why. Like it was something that was like pulling me to ask these questions. So they were.
And that more so than getting to know like your Catholic religion deeper, and getting to know God in that way through the religion that you were.
It was something curious because I remember one day I went to the church with my mom, and it was like a statue of two people.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, but I always pray to God, like one God, who like for all of these two, like I did something wrong. Like I always pray to one, and my mother is like, no, I don't know, like it's the Father and the Son, but like whatever, don't make a lot of questions. Like you continue praying whatever you're praying.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that's so weird, because I always thought like there's only one God, but I was like having like fighting thoughts like, maybe I did something wrong. How does it work actually? So I used to, when coming back, when I was like in the acting, when I saw like Jewish people like in the industry, I used to ask like, what is Shabbat? Why do you like candles? What is like all of these beautiful things? What do you eat kosher? What does that mean? You know, I didn't have a clue of all of this world. And for me, it was really, really interesting. And then I remember like, every answer that I have, it wasn't like a full answer because they were less observant.
Yeah.
And I was like searching on Google, like, why does Jewish eat kosher? Why? Like all of this stuff. And it was amazing. So I started to learn on YouTube, Parashat Shavua, like the portion of the week and all of this stuff. And it really makes sense to me, like the way these people think, you know, the Jewish people.
It just clicked for you.
Yeah, it clicked, definitely.
And it very much aligned with your current mindset.
Yeah. And I remember I thought like, whoa, there's a religion that you can debate, you can make like all of the questions, and there's an answer for everything.
Yes.
And I was like, that's amazing. I like that. So I remember I went to the museum. There's like a Jewish museum in Mexico. I went there, and every time like I just wanted to know more, like why, when. It was like amazing for me to know more about Judaism. So after that, I saw a YouTube video, and the rabbi says something like, you know, the life is a game, and if you want to win the game, you have the instructions in the Torah, like how to win the game. You just have to like follow the Torah. And I was like, I want to win the game. I mean, why I didn't receive the instructions? I also want to be part of it. So I remember I bought like a Tanakh on Amazon, like a Spanish one, you know.
Wow.
And I started learning and reading, and it was amazing for me to learn. Also like in Shurim, like classes on YouTube.
Right.
And also like reading the Tanakh. And
people ask me also, because I didn't grow up religious. I was born Jewish, but I didn't grow up religious. And why did I choose it later in life? And I give also a similar answer. I just speak about how complicated and challenging life is, how hard it is to understand what's happening around us and make sense of it, and what's expected of us.
Yeah.
But the Torah is the guidebook or the instruction book for life. So I never thought about it as a game and wanting to win the game as much though as like, oh my gosh, like there's a step-by-step guide for achieving our greatest self, understanding what our purpose is, uncovering our mission, fulfilling that mission, achieving our goals, and like being the best that we can in the world and helping make the world the best place that it can be. So I feel very much the same way. Like, I mean, obviously it's a Jewish idea that the Torah is the instruction book or the guidebook for life.
Yeah.
So you really connected to that right away.
I really, and because everything was making sense and clicked to me. So for me, it was amazing to like found something new, but also it's the same way I used to think in a lot of parts. So I just make a decision and I say, okay, I have to speak with a rabbi. I want to learn more. I want to be in contact with someone, because everything was like in YouTube and not like really. So I just Googled where is the near synagogue.
Right.
And I just found out, thanks God, everything was Mina Shamayim, because in Mexico there is like a community that doesn't welcome, like any community welcomes you as a convert or like as a foreign, whatever. But I just went in the exact community that actually, it was like amazing. They received me so good.
So a lot of people watching don't realize that Judaism is not like a missionary type of religion.
Yeah.
We're not looking for converts, so much so to the point that we actually try to dissuade converts, people from converting to Judaism. We believe that you do not have to be Jewish in order to be, the greatest human and achieve, again, your potential and your mission and your goals and your place in heaven.
Yeah.
So what did they say to you?
So I decided to speak with a rabbi, and they reject me a couple of times, but I take it.
Did you feel insulted?
No, it was like really nice. So I will take.
Like, how do they reject you? Yes.
So the first time I went to the synagogue, I actually like, knock knock, hi. So there's like security in the synagogues in Mexico. Right. So this guy from security opened the door and he said like, hi. And I was like, hi, I'm Ximena Orozco. I want to convert to Judaism. And luckily, he was a new guy working there. He didn't know like anything about Judaism. He's not you.
Yeah.
And he said like, oh no, we don't. I can't. And he just closed the door because he didn't know like what to do. And then I was like, okay, that's it. I try it. Maybe it's not for me. Yeah. Whatever. And I was like in the street going back. And he opened the door again and he said, oh wait, I hear in the morning that they are looking for people for minyan. So I don't know what is that, but maybe
the prayer,
like the prayer thing, people for the prayer. And he said like, maybe give me your number and I sent to the rabbi and maybe you will be like, you will fit for the minyan. He didn't know like what it, So the rabbi called me a couple of days later and he told me, I received your number, but I didn't like understand why. Okay. So what do you need? And I was like, hi, I want to convert. I was like really excited, like I'm learning in YouTube. I have a Tanakh, like all of this. And the rabbi was like, okay, wait, what? And he just told me like, oh, that's beautiful. A lot of people want to convert. Good luck. And I was like, what? He didn't understand. And I just called like a couple of days after. Yeah. Hi, it's me again. I want to know like if we can meet. I want to answer, like to ask a couple questions and this. And he was like, okay, let's make like a meeting. Yeah. And I went to his office and I remember he saw me like I was 19 years old at that point. And he was like, oh, I thought that you were like all this lady, that is after divorce looking what to do in her life. So he was like, what are you doing here? You're so young. Like, what are you looking for? And I was like, I want to convert. I started learning and everything. And he was like, okay, maybe you're confused, like today you want to be Jewish. Tomorrow you want to be like a Buddhist, vegan, whatever. And he said like, I think it's not good for you. And also I started to say about my life. I'm an actress and this. Yeah. And he said, you have like the most amazing job. Why do you want to change everything? Like, it's not good for you. Don't do it. And I just came out for that meeting, like really upset. Like, but I want that like, ruhaniyut, how do you say? Like spiritual life. Yeah. Like this is something that I definitely want. So I called him again and I said, I really want to know what's Shabbat. Like, I'm really curious. So can I come to a Shabbat to know what it is? And he said, okay, come, but you can't speak with anyone. Sit like
sit separately,
and you can see and then go back home. And I was like, okay. And I remember when I get into the shul, they were singing Lecha Dodi, and I felt like goosebumps, like something like I used to know the melody, but I never been into a synagogue before. It was so special. And from that day, I was like, this is it. I want to come like every Shabbat. I love that. My father always said to us like, don't pray to all of these people, there's like, how do you say, worship, like in English?
Worship, yeah.
He said, we have God and we have the best connection with him, and I don't need to pray to all of these different saints or whatever. And I always remember that, like, we went to church that there was like a lot of these things, and my mother used to love, to do what other people do, and she was like praying to all of it. And I remember my father always like stand and say, I'm not praying to these things because I have like a direct connection to God.
And we're here in the place where the absolute connection, this is the place where heaven and earth meet. This is the place where God's presence has never, ever left. And this is the place that's been set aside since the beginning of time for prayer, repentance, and connection. So that's so interesting that your father always had that.
And so, I will give you like the answer of this. Yeah. Then we found out, after I finished my conversion and everything, we found out that my father comes from Anosim, like from...
Really, from the Conversos?
Yeah, from the Conversos. Yeah.
Well, Hannah!
Yeah, okay. So he took it like really well because, he said like, you're coming back to our roots, and that's amazing.
He knew that always?
No, he didn't knew, but now, there was like this thing, if you want to do your Spanish passport or Portugal passport, if you prove that you have like Jewish ancestors, you can do it.
Wow.
So like my family started to do all this process, and they found out that we have like Jewish ancestors.
Wow.
So it's amazing to know. And I have like a letter from a rabbi in Spain that said that we came from these Conversos.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I used to have like Jewish friends.
Yes.
So we were like going to parties and they were like inviting me to their house and a Shabbat dinner or something. And also we used to go to this place that is called Acapulco. It's a beautiful beach in Mexico.
Yes.
And
heard of it.
I remember we were like, having fun and whatever. And the guys were saying like, okay, we have to make kiddush because it's Friday. But we were like in the middle of a party, And for me, it was like that. How amazing is that? Like, you can connect spirituality like with daily life. And for me, it was beautiful. Like, it was the most pure thing to see. Like, someone is saying like, okay, turn on the music. We're making kiddush. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. I really love that.
So how do you break the news to your parents?
Okay.
Because this is like not a simple, update to give them. It's like you're dropping a bomb.
Yeah. So after I started to learn with this rabbi and he agrees to be like with me learning and everything, he said to me like, what do your parents think about it? Like, they know something? What? And I was like, they didn't know anything. I used to tell them that I'm going to a party on Friday, but I was actually at the shul or Saturday.
Can I just tell you, like, people will tell their parents, like, they're going to synagogue and they're really going to a party. And you're telling your parents, I'm going to a party, and you're really secretly going to the synagogue. I mean, I feel like that must be a first, like Guinness Book of World Record first.
Yeah, so the rabbi said, you cannot come again if your parents don't know what are you doing, because it's really like an important thing to your life. They also have to be part of it. So I remember I invited my mom to a sushi place.
That's what I said. So maybe that's why we have sushi here, to bring us back to that.
And because I didn't know like how to bring this up, So I told her, Mom, I have something really important to say you and to tell you. And she was like, okay. And I thought like she was waiting for the, I'm pregnant, all of these things. And I said, Mom, I want to be Jewish. I want to convert to Judaism. And she was like, what? Like, why? Where does this come from? And I explained to her that I started learning with the rabbi and going to synagogue, and I'm part of like the community. I'm going like on Friday night and this. And she was like, whoa, that sounds really weird. I want to speak with the rabbi. And thanks God she was like really aware, because she doesn't want me to get involved in a cult or something like this. So she spoke with the rabbi and with her wife, and she says like, they seem like normal people. So she agrees. And then with my father, I just I remember we were like in Starbucks or something, and I said like, oh,
Next time we'll have coffee to honor that one.
I say, oh, I want to convert to Judaism because I started to wear skirts and more like news, and I started
More modest dressing.
yeah.
Right,
And my father was like, why are you wearing these skirts and this? And I was like, I want to convert to Judaism, and he said me, oh, I think that you're having like a Jewish boyfriend or something.
Oh, that's so funny. So you're converting for him.
You're converting because a friend of his, like her daughter, get converted because of this. Like,
of course, that happens.
Getting married. Yeah. And I was like, oh, I wish I had like a Jewish boyfriend. Everything
You're
was
like, me.
everything will be like more easier. And he said, if it's good for you, makes you happy, I'm happy too.
Wow.
So I started to learn a lot, being part more like of the community. And then the rabbi said to me, like, if you really want this, you should go to Israel and make the conversion there, because here in Mexico we don't convert people.
They don't have a way to officially. They don't have a high
not
court
like
there.
like a
court, right, like a religious court there to convert, right?
Yeah. So I said, okay, I never been to Israel. I never been to the Middle East. The only thing I know is like war and bombs and all of the things that I see like in the news. So when I told my parents, okay, I want to go to Israel and study Torah, they were like, absolutely not. Like, you're not going anywhere. Your work is here. Everything is here. Why do you want to go to a war zone?
War zone,
yeah.
Right.
It's like saying I'm going to Iraq or
they think you're going to a war zone in a third world country.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the worst of the worst of the worst.
Yeah. So I say to them, I want to convert to Judaism, and this is like the only way I can do it. So they were like, okay, you're like a grown up, do whatever is good for you. And I remember like being in the airport and they were like crying, and it was like really hard for me. But I don't know why. I feel like I'm doing the right thing. Like, don't worry, everything will be fine.
I had the same scene though when we decided to make Aliyah and move our family to Israel. Yeah. My parents were crying in the airport, and it was so hard. And I also, the same thing, I feel like I'm doing the right thing. I know it's the best thing for me, for my family, but it's so hard, really hard to leave behind family.
Because you're actually like hurting them and their feelings. But at
I feel
the
like
same
you're disappointing
them. Totally. But at the same time, you're feeling like it's the right way to do, and you feel that it's good for you to come to Israel. So,
but it's so hard to have a decision which you feel is so good and so right for yourself, yet pains the people you love so much.
Yeah, totally.
It
was definitely hard. And so I came to Israel the first time at 2017, and I came to a midrashah.
I want your feeling when you landed here.
Oh.
Were you like, I'm home, or were you like, this is not what I thought at all?
And when I landed, I remember I felt calm. Like, I felt like, whoa, I'm here finally, And the first time I came to the Kotel, I remember I didn't knew what to feel, Am I supposed to to cry because of what happened to the Bet HaMikdash, or like to feel?
So you want to know, when you came to the Western Wall for the first time, you want to know if you were supposed to cry because of what happened to the Holy Temple was destroyed.
Am I supposed to be grateful because we have Israel again?
Yes.
It was like a mixed feelings. But
what did you feel?
Definitely it was like shocking, and I felt like so calm also, like amazing, calm, and everyone were praying, and it was like a beautiful feeling.
So you go to Midrashah. So Midrashah, for those that are watching, is a full-time learning program for women who are post-high school. And it could be older. It could be post-college even. So for young and mature women who want to learn more about Judaism.
Yeah, totally. So
seminary, we would call it in English, but still, even so, people might not know.
Yeah. So it was like a Spanish speaking program, which is great because it's like an easy way to getting all of this new world. And also the rabbis were like Spanish speakers. Yes. So it was amazing. I made the most amazing friends ever, because it's like a really challenging time, and you are with friends living alone for the first time, and you go through a lot. So it's
for a lot of women, young women who either didn't who didn't grow up religious or don't have a religious background, and they're really coming and learning, even though they're Jewish, and obviously I'm sure there were other converts amongst you, but who don't have the background or are coming to learn it for the first time.
Yeah, so it's amazing that people take the time to come and learn, and it's not easy. So I was here like 3 months, and then I just had like the most horrible phone call that my sister called to me and said like, my mother used to be ill, but with the mahala, how do we say in Hebrew, like
yes, in English we would say with cancer.
And she was okay, but it came back. So my sister told me, this thing came back, and you should come because we don't know what will happen. So for me, it was like really hard because I was living like a Jewish girl for 3 months, and then I just have to come back, and my mother is not well. So I told them, like in the midrasha, like, the seminary, this is happening with my mother, and they say me, okay, like come back. But they thought that I was like lying and I wasn't really into Judaism maybe, and this is like an excuse. So it was like really hard for me to.
I feel like that's painful on all ends.
Yeah.
First of all, it's painful to be living the life of your dreams, and like you said, and to receive a call of that magnitude, and then also to be questioned by those that you felt that you
are not like
being honest.
Yeah. So I came back to Mexico, and sadly my mom passed away like a couple months after.
I'm so sorry.
But I'm really grateful that I actually came, because
of course
I was with her like in the last months, and me and my sister is like everything she had. So I'm really thankful that I made the right decision. I came back to her.
Really?
And after that, like, it was really hard for me to understand, like, okay, so you want to come back to Israel, but now your sister is living alone, because we used to live like only two, and my mother, my sister and I, and my mother. And I was like, I don't want to do this to my sister.
You don't want to abandon her.
I don't want to abandon her. It's like really hard time. We were in contact with my father, and we used to like be like really.
Did you live in Mexico City also?
Yeah. But it wasn't the same. Like,
of course.
Our mother, it was like everything for us, and now.
I know with girls too, it's like two sisters are very close. I'm with your mother, of course.
Yeah, totally. So I just like put that in a standby, I continued to go to synagogue and everything in Mexico, but I was like, okay, maybe it's not the right time to convert. Maybe I don't have to convert. A lot of questions came up.
Of course.
And my sister said like, okay, let's make like a sister's trip around the world. And let's just like find out what do we want in life and everything. And I'm really thankful with her because we did this. And I remember we were like traveling to, Rome. And then I was like looking, where are like the Jewish ghetto here in Rome? Like everything.
Hannah,
I really want to know. Like,
you were just so drawn.
Yeah. Like I wanted to eat only at kosher places. I wanted to visit all of the Jewish museums around, the synagogues, everything. And I remember in Rome, my sister said like, okay, I'm going to the Vatican it's like a really interesting place. And I was like, okay, I think I'm not that really interesting. I want to go to the Rome synagogue. They say that it's amazing. And she was like, what? Like, okay. And my sister wasn't like interested in Judaism at all.
Right.
And she was like, okay, you can go there. I will go to this place, and that's it. And I just realized like, okay, I'm really into it. Like I can't go back to where I was because I just feel like I'm Jewish. Like, I've been living in Israel 3 months and waking up and making like all the bracha,
all the blessings.
Keeping Shabbat, like with the certain things, but like keeping Shabbat and everything. So I was like, I think I have to do, but I didn't knew how to tell this to my sister.
And also, did you feel a little bit upset that she wasn't coming along for the ride with you?
Yeah, I totally tried. And I remember when I used to watch like classes in YouTube, I was like, come, this is an amazing topic you will love. And she was like, okay, it's interesting, but it's not for me. And I was like, what? We are the same person.
Yes.
Why you are not interested? But then I understand that this is not for everyone, and everyone has like their tikkun, like their things,
their own spiritual journey and their own purpose.
Yeah, totally. So I understand that. So coming back when we were like traveling, I really wanted to go back to Israel. I remember we were like in Europe and I was checking flights, like how many hours is Israel? I really want to come back.
You're so
But I always thought like I'm not going to do this to my sister. Like we're not ready to be apart again.
Yeah.
And then she told me like, you know, I see that you're really upset and that you don't feel like you used to be. So maybe come back to Israel and don't worry about me. I will be fine. And I was like, okay, I'm doing it.
I feel like I'm hugging her. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's the biggest gift we can give those that we love, the freedom and the support to do the things that they love and not to hold them back. So you come back to Israel and now you need to go through with the official conversion.
Yeah. So I came back and I was like, okay, now it's time to finish this process. And
This is like years in the making, Hannah.
Yeah, it was now when I came back, it was 2020.
Right.
So I was like, okay, that's it. And also I was like a more grown up and had like another vision.
Yes.
I was like more committed to it. So I'm thankful that it happened that way, because in other ways, maybe I was like converting and not really keeping things like it should be, you know, maybe coming back to Mexico and to all of these life. So I was really thankful that it came at the exact moment. So I came to Israel again, 2020. I get in the midrasha and the seminary. How do you say?
Yeah, perfect. You said it perfect.
And I started my process, and everything was like amazing until the corona came, and so everything was like not working, shut down. Also the Rabbanut, like the rabbinical department.
Yeah, the rabbinical department of the country. Yeah.
It wasn't working, so our me and the other girls that were converting, we were like, okay, what is going to happen with our conversion? Nothing is working. We have to.
At least you were with some other girls who were in the same boat as you, because some strength in numbers sometimes.
Totally, but I came like with a certain limited amount of money for a couple months, and then it's like, okay, what I'm going to do. So I started working on things that I never imagined. I used to be like a cleaning lady, babysitting, all of these waitress also at the Waldorf.
At the Waldorf, and you said you saw me then.
Yeah, I saw Jamie there, and I used to follow you on Instagram, and I said to a friend, I remember, oh, that's Jamie Keller. Wow, I follow her on Instagram. And she said, oh, say hi to her. And I was like, no, I don't met her, but I would love to. Okay, whatever.
And now we're friends, Hannah.
Friends, that's amazing. And actually, my first job was in the Roba, you know, in the
old city.
Yeah, with a beautiful, like really amazing lady, because she realized that I didn't have a clue how to clean, and she helped me.
Wow.
And she paid me also.
Wow.
So that was my first job. I remember she gave me like this thing to clean the floor, and I was like, okay. So I just spread it like all over, and she was like, oh, you have to put water. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't do. And the floor was like sticky because of all of this soap. Yeah, but she realized, and she said, whatever, there's like a first thing for everything.
Yeah, first time for everything.
First time.
So many kindnesses and wonderful people. And but Hannah, are you like, this is not supposed to be my life?
I didn't thought like that, because I saw everyone in the midrash, like in the seminary, were like working in whatever we can find. It was like, okay, it's part of the fun to be abroad and, you know, have like new experiences.
Wow.
And I remember a rabbi in the seminary told us, like, in that way, you will learn how to serve Israel, like
how to serve the Jewish people.
Yeah, how to serve the Jewish people. So I thought that way, and it's beautiful. Like, I'm helping this lady that have like 6+ kids, and I'm helping her like a little bit. So for me, it was amazing. So after like a lot of houses that I was cleaning, I came to a house.
Yes.
And then she asked me, what do you do like in your life? What you used to do in Mexico? And I told her like, oh, I used to be an actress. And she was like, what? And she Googled me, and she was like, what? You were like a really famous actress. And she told me, you know, I want to do like this thing with my social media. Maybe you can help me in this. So it was the best thing ever, because from being like her cleaning lady, I also became her social media manager. And
Isn't it amazing
Yeah.
how to see, sometimes we don't see and don't understand why we had to go through certain things, but this whole career path led you to your current career path and your success here.
Totally.
Unbelievable.
After that, so I started working with her. So the corona, it was like really quick thing here in Israel. Thanks God, like a couple months, and we were like working on it again and everything. And then like I had my first interview at the rabbinical court here in Israel, and they asked me like everything about my life, why I want to convert and all of these things. Then like 5 months after I had my second appointment, they asked me like again everything, because they want to make sure that it checks like everything you said. At the final one, like the final meeting, everyone, like all of the girls, we were like really scared, because we heard like horrible experiences. Like they asked me something like about kashrut, and I wasn't sure how to answer it,
Right.
because they make hard questions to know that if you are really into it,
That you were serious and that you studied and you took it seriously and that you intend to live a religious life.
Yeah, for sure. And so I remember I was praying, like, I want to answer all the questions and I want to be like a good girl at the exam,
Wow. When did you choose your name, Hannah?
After like before the mikvah and after that appointment, yeah.
You know my Hebrew name, right?
It's Hannah.
Yes,
So,
yes. We're very connected, Hannah.
Wow, amazing. So I answered this thing about the meat differences between Sephardi and Ashkenazi, and they were okay. So we have to talk to all of these people, and you can come back a couple minutes later. And I was like, okay, waiting in the waiting list.
Were you nervous?
In the waiting
waiting room.
And I was really nervous. But I was like, okay, Hashem knows that I really want this. So
God knows, yeah.
Yeah. Everything, it has to like be okay, because God knows what is inside of my heart, and I really want this. So they asked me to come back to the room, and they told me like, okay, welcome to the Jewish people. And I'm getting emotional.
I see your eyes.
Yeah. And they tell me like, okay, now you can say like Shema Israel, like this praying. And it was like, I remember I have a video of it, and I was like with the mask from the corona, and I was saying Shema Israel, and it was like, this is happening. Like,
who was that with you?
Like someone from the midrasha, like a madricha.
Like a counselor from the seminary?
Yeah, and 2 other girls that were also converting. And it was like, whoa, this is it. I'm officially Jewish,
Wow.
And after that, a day after, I had the mikveh, and I remember there was some kind of small war going around. So the counselor said, you have the mikveh tomorrow, but there is like
mikveh is the ritual immersion
ritual.
Yes.
But there are like missiles falling in the center of the city, so you should not go tomorrow. And I was like, why? I wait so much for this. I want to go tomorrow. And they say, if you're going, it's like on your own, like,
like on your own accord, of your own responsibility. We do not recommend it.
Yeah. So do whatever feels right to you. And I was like, okay, I'm coming. And I remember I took that bus to Oda Sharon, I think, a place in the central Israel.
It's like a suburb of Tel Aviv.
Yeah, and I went there, and everyone was waiting for the same thing to me, and it was like beautiful. I remember when I immersed into the mikvah, I felt like I saw something like black, like a flash, black flash, and then white, and I came out, and I was like, wow, I'm Jewish. Like my Jewish neshama just came into my soul. Like
you felt it.
It was like definitely something different, and it was like an amazing feeling. And then I just came out, and I remember I see everything really beautiful. Like when do you wear like glasses or something?
I don't.
Okay, so when you have like new pair of glasses that you see everything like beautiful and
right, sharp.
Yeah, sharp and clean, 3D.
Yes.
I remember I saw everything like this, and And now it became like the real game. You're Jewish. So now,
why'd you pick the name Hannah? I was named after my grandfather's sister who perished in the Holocaust, but you chose the name Hannah.
Yeah.
So why?
So I had a list of 5 names that I loved.
What made the list?
It was something like Shirel, Mayan, Hannah. Like,
Well, you named your daughter Mayan. Okay, so you got the name.
And also I like it because Hannah and Ximena, they are like a
I was wondering because the Ximena and Hannah, they're similar.
Yeah. So I chose Hannah, and definitely it was hard to get used to it.
Totally.
I remember when I was like a coffee place, and you said your name.
Yes.
And they were like, okay, Hannah. And I was like waiting for my coffee. Oh, it's me, Hannah.
The coffee's cold. I hope you want an iced coffee. Every Friday night when I light my Shabbat candles, so I have a number of prayers I say, and one is Tfilas Chana, which is the prayer of Chana.
Because she's the first one who actually prayed,
Yes, taught us how to pray.
Tell us,
and how to actually enunciate the words in a soft undertone. Yeah. Like we know how to pray because of her and to move our lips. And she was granted many holy sons because of it. And
because of it. It's an amazing story.
So you said all your prayers were answered. So tell me about Avishai and how you met him, the love story.
So after I converted, I moved with a friend because we are not allowed to live in the Midrashah forever. The seminary. So we moved, and she told me, this friend Rachel, she told me, you should download this dating app that is called Shalish Gan Eden, like a part of the Gan Eden.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful
piece of heaven.
Yeah. It's a beautiful
Garden of Eden. Yeah.
And she told me, I heard a lot of friends found like their shidduch, like their partner,
spouse,
with this app. And I was like, me, like Ximena Orozco, the famous one, dating in an app, It was like a little bit ego, like, yes, why do I have to find my husband?
They should be lining up for me. I know the feeling.
And she was like, you should. I heard like really good things about this app. And I was like, okay, maybe, I don't know. And she literally said to me, like, give me your telephone. And she downloaded and put in like a profile picture and everything. Yeah. And I feel
like it's a scene out of a movie where the friend makes you do it and she uploads your profile. Yeah.
Totally. And she said, okay, so you see like all of these guys and you can choose like what level of religious
observance,
everything.
Background, culture.
Yeah. And I was like, okay. And I remember like I saw all of the profiles and pictures and I was like, no, maybe this is not for me. It's weird, And then like one day I was looking in the app and scrolling, and then I saw Avishai, and I clicked to the profile, and my friend told me like, if you click, he received like a notification that you saw the profile.
So he knows who looked at it.
Yeah. So say something, wrote something, and I was like, okay, I will write hi in English because I didn't know how to write Hebrew at the time.
Right.
Not that I actually know, not really, but I'm working on it.
Okay, because you're spoken Hebrew.
Yeah, but written is not that good. So I wrote hi, and the first thing that I asked to him, it was like, are you a Kohen? Because I'm a convert, I can't go out with a Kohen. So he said, no, why? Are you a convert? And I was like, yeah, I am. He was like, okay.
Well, you got that out of the way really quickly.
Because I didn't want to, make that love story and then
it's not
possible, So he said, no, but tell me about you and everything. And we started to speak in English.
He's writing in English?
Yeah.
It was because I know his English.
Yeah.
He has to be using like Google Translate or
totally.
something. Okay.
And it was really funny because he told me, no, I was like in India for a long time. So
I speak really good English there.
Yeah. So I know English, and at the end of a couple meetings, and I was like, okay, maybe we have to switch to Hebrew because I don't understand anything. He asked about my family, why did I decide to convert and everything. And I say, okay, I prefer to say this in person. And he was like, he's from Ashkelon, so
which is like a little bit more south, the beach.
And I used to live in Jerusalem, that is like in the center. So Israelis don't love to drive like long distances.
No. But how long is the distance? Just say
like 1 hour and 30, maybe.
And
no traffic.
To Israelis, it's like a million miles away.
Yeah, like
an hour and a half.
So we went like talking about each other and everything, and I started to tell about my story, how did I get to do Judaism and everything. And I remember his eyes were like shining. He wanted to cry about hearing my history. And I was like, I want this. Like, I totally want this because he's not afraid to show feelings, emotions.
Right.
And I was like, that's beautiful.
It's
and
really
also,
special.
I remember the first time I saw him, he was like in the car and he opened the door and I was like, wow, it's he. Like,
you knew right away.
I knew it.
So the first person you looked at on the app, the first person you went on a date with, from the first date, you knew it.
I knew it. So I knew it right away. And at the second...
Did he know it right away?
He said, yeah.
He better have.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I'm very protective of you, Hannah. Yes.
Because, for an Israeli guy to have, like, meet someone from Mexico, amazing and interesting.
Yeah. Totally. I love it.
So it was like a beautiful first meeting. And then we start to have, like, a lot of conversation on the telephone and because we have, like, a big distance, and then he said me, you want to meet my mom? And I was like, oh, this is really like
real.
We had 2 dates and then I met
wow.
Yeah, the mom.
That is pretty quick, by the way.
Yeah. And he said, I have like a really special relationship with my mom and I want to be like totally honest with the family. So I want that she meets you. So everything it will be.
How did you communicate with her, Hannah?
So I prayed a lot.
See, that's the prayer coming back.
And I was like, okay, God, please, that I want to make myself understand, how do you say it?
Make myself understood.
In Hebrew, and everything just go beautiful. She understands me. Also, my mother-in-law speaks better English than Abishai.
Okay, so good.
Yeah,
so
it's perfect. But I speak mostly in Hebrew.
Right.
She understands me. I also, so it was great. And then we just start dating, and I remember I had like this appendicitis, like from some part of the
appendicitis.
Yeah. So I was ill, and I was here in the hospital, Tzedek, and I told him like, I'm in the hospital, I'm having like a lot of pain. And I remember he came. He used to work at night, like in security thing at night. And he came like 5 a.m. to visit me to the hospital.
Wow.
And his mother called me and she said, you don't have family here in Israel, so maybe you can come and stay with us, and I will cook you like food and everything after the surgery. And I was like, wow, that's what I needed, like a family that hugs me and everything. So I stayed there like a couple days after the surgery, and they were amazing with me. And then I had like this big wedding at Mexico for my cousin. Okay. And I say to him, I want to go to Mexico. A lot of time I didn't.
You haven't been there.
Yeah. And I'm probably going to be there like a month or so. And I'm really Mexican. I say to him, if you want, you can come. Like, mi casa es tu casa.
Yeah. Come. I know that line.
Yeah. And he was like, okay, I'm coming. And I was like, what? Wait, my father doesn't even know that I have a boyfriend.
Oh my gosh.
My sister also doesn't know. And I was like, okay, great, come. And I was like texting to my father, hi, so I have a boyfriend and he also wants to come to my cousin's wedding.
Right.
Is that okay? And he was like, okay, great, perfect. So I remember we had separate flights because I already bought my flight. So he went through Amsterdam and I was like in Germany, and it was like a big, like a long flight, and he arrived before. So he meet my family right away.
Without you.
Airport, without
that
me.
That is so funny.
Yeah. And he was like waiting for me.
And how did they communicate?
In English. My sister speaks good English.
Okay.
Yeah. My father, he also used Duolingo every time. Okay. So they started to talk about Mexico and everything. They wait me 5 hours in the airport.
Oh my gosh, they're like best friends by then.
Yeah. And then I arrived and they were best friends, with my sister.
And Avishai's like, welcome to Mexico, Hannah.
So then after this wedding, I think he get the vibe.
The fever, right?
Yeah, the fever. And he proposed to me in Tulum. That is a beautiful beach in Mexico.
Wow.
Yeah.
And were your family like, OMG?
Jewish are crazy.
Yeah, like 3 months you know each other. He comes to Mexico. He proposes to you. Were they nervous?
They were. It was really beautiful because I remember we went to a snorkeling trip with my father, and Abishai said to my father in Spanish, like Google Translate, and I say, ¿Puedo casarme con tu hija? Like, can I
marry your daughter?
Your daughter?
Yes.
My father was like, "Oh, are you serious? Okay, sure, why not? If she's happy." But we were like in the middle of snorkeling, so he didn't like really, understand what he's saying. And after a couple of days, he proposed me, and my father was like, "Oh, he was being serious."
Right. Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah.
So Hannah, you're here, and you guys come back, and I'm going to fast forward a little bit and just say, like, I remember when the Aish Latino team came to me as we, decided to really build out Aish's digital footprint and social media presence in all different languages, on all different platforms. And we were looking for content creators. Okay. And we had a lot of incredible faces in the English language side, but who could represent us in the Spanish language side? And I remember Rabbi Yigal and Rabbi Danny coming to me and saying, we found this woman. Her name is Hannah Abitbul. Mm-hmm. She was a telenovela actress. She was super famous. She's got a great following. She's excellent on camera, obviously since a year and a half, since almost the womb, actually on camera. And we think that she would be great for teaching and explaining what Judaism is in Spanish to the Spanish-speaking world. Wow. And from the first, when we saw your content that existed, we knew it was you anyway. From the first piece you did for Aish Latino, we knew that like this was it. We had found the face of Aish Latino, and your content went viral and consistently. First we did a few a week, and then it was like, okay, I think we should move this to more like full time. And every single day a post on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube Shorts, and it was just viral after viral after viral. And you became a superstar again. You always were, by the way, but now known for something different, for teaching Judaism in Spanish on social media. Yeah. Was this like a dream come true? Did you feel like your whole life led to this moment?
I think the best thing that happened like in my life since I'm in Israel after meeting Abishai, of course, my kid, it's Aish Torah. Like for me, it was like the most amazing job doing what I love, but like teaching Torah, like doing what I love is like being in front of the camera and, be like this influencer kind of thing, but make it with Kedusha, like with the spirituality.
Right, holiness, spirituality.
And learning something new and teaching something new.
I was going to say, but Hannah, you're not an educator. You're an actress. You were super successful. Other people put words in your mouth and you acted them beautifully. Now you are learning, you are scripting, and you are teaching. How did you fall into this role so comfortably?
I don't know. It was like, I used to learn like at the seminary, so I had like all of my notes, and I was like, maybe I can share some of my knowledge and everything that I learned through the years. And I realized also like a lot of Jewish people are looking for some kind of Jewishness, but not like that, frum or something like. And I was like, maybe
it's really just Jewish wisdom and Jewish education. You're sharing some of the basics, like a first touch toward Judaism.
Yeah, totally. And at the first videos, I realized people really love it and they feel connected to it. And it went really viral, as you said. When I'm in Israel, I don't feel like a lot of it, but when I'm in Mexico, it's crazy.
Now you're stopped on the street again.
Yeah, but in the kosher restaurants, kosher groceries.
But in Panama, your sister stopped.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You're known all over the Spanish-speaking world for being this incredible educational face. And I think you're doing it for Jewish people and also plenty non-Jewish people. Totally. Do you feel that you're on like a special messenger toward the Spanish-speaking world to help debunk any kind of stereotypes? And there's tremendous anti-Semitism in the Spanish-speaking world. How do you feel about your position there? Because it's one thing to educate Jews or those that are seeking, which is very much coming full circle to initially you found this YouTube video and now you're creating the videos that others will find. But what about to the non-Jewish world? Like, how do you feel about that role?
I think that I'm making like my tafkid. How do you say it?
Your job.
My job. Because we are supposed to spread light to the world, and I have the opportunity to make this through TikTok. So for me, it's like an amazing opportunity. I love it, and also like I was saying, like in Mexico when I come or like any Latin country. They love the videos. My husband is also like, oh, you're Hannah's husband, and it's beautiful. And people write me like beautiful comments like, thank you. I'm also searching about Judaism, and I love your page because you teach me like from the basics. A lot of beautiful comments. People love it, and a lot of anti-Semitic comments also. But everyone is welcome.
Mi casa su casa.
Yeah, because it's a casa. And yeah, it's beautiful. Also like from non-Jewish and also from Jewish people who loves the videos and everything. Yeah.
So the videos were mostly Jewish wisdom, Jewish education, and then October 7th happens.
Yeah.
So first of all, you live down south.
Yeah.
So explain a little bit of what your life looked like those first few days and weeks.
For me, it was really, really hard. It was the first time I was experiencing a war in Israel. I live down south, so I heard everything, all the bombing, all the missiles that were coming into Israel from Gaza. So I was like really, really nervous. My baby used to be like 10 months, I think.
Yeah.
It was really hard for me, and also like for everyone, because I used to be calm when there's like missiles, and my husband say, okay, everything is fine. It's like common thing, but it's like October 7th, it wasn't normal for anyone,
Yeah.
So I was like really stressed, and I want to share something really beautiful that you host me in your house, but for a couple of days, and it was such a help.
You could have stayed for longer, but you guys decided to go to Mexico. But I knew how hard it was, and I knew that you weren't able to sleep, and I knew that your house was shaking and that your baby was up, and that it's traumatic for anyone, but especially those who live down south or used to missiles, but nothing like this. And this was the beginning of your married life and motherhood. I live in the center of Israel more, and I wanted to have you and to give you
amazing
some respite.
help. It just helped us a lot, because you saw me like I was really stressed, and also with the baby, and my house were like shaking every time there's like a missile or a bomb. Like all of the windows were like this, and the baby was waking up, and it was like a horrible experience for everyone. But like for those who were living in the south, it was like you are in the world, you're hearing and
you can smell it,
everything,
feel it.
Yeah.
So we loved having you, and it was
beautiful.
We had you for Shabbos.
Yeah.
We were only sad when you said we're going to Mexico.
Yeah, it was.
But it makes sense.
And also, like, the embassy was offering these free trips for all the Mexicans, and I was like, okay, maybe I should come to my family, because I needed that hug and that family feeling, that you are safe. So
yeah.
Because of that, I decided to go to Mexico. Right. But I had like the best experience at your house. I can't believe I was like in the Shabbos table of Jamie Geller. It was amazing. Yeah.
We were so happy to have you, and it meant so much to us. And for all of us that were in different parts of, the Jews in America and the diaspora wanted to do what they could to help everyone in Israel. And everyone in Israel wanted to do what they could to help everyone in the South.
Yeah.
And then when the North were back, same thing. So for us, it felt like we were doing something meaningful and purposeful and useful to have and to help and to house. So it was our complete honor and privilege, totally.
Wow, thank you so much.
And we loved it.
It was really beautiful. And you see what is Israel, what is Jewish people helping each other, like family.
Yeah.
Totally. When I said to my mother-in-law, like, I'm going to my boss' house, and she was like, oh, okay, great. This is
it's so
Israel.
much.
This is the Jewish people.
People all the time, they don't know what to do with the Jewish people. Are we a race? Are we a religion? Are we a culture? And the bottom line is that we are a family.
We are a family.
The bottom line is that we are a family.
Totally.
We felt that. So, Hannah, how did you feel after all that you've given to be part of the Jewish people and the Jewish family? You come back, and not too soon after, we're still in the months after October 7th. You went to Mexico, had a little bit of time with your family. You come back, and you find yourself, and we found ourselves as Aish at the center of a firestorm where this viral video of this nurse with a very bad Arabic accent. It was definitely seemed like something. We don't even know to this day if it was fake, if it was real, but she was speaking with a very interesting, seemingly fake accent.
Yeah.
From Shifa Hospital, against Hamas and pro the Israeli government and the IDF. So it seemed as maybe a propaganda video. And you were accused of acting as that nurse and being that nurse.
The last video I uploaded at Age, it was about like we were at a sushi restaurant also, and there was like an alarm down south.
Right.
So I just filmed like how does everyone have to go to the bomb shelter.
Right.
And after that, I don't know why they found like this video of the nurse, and someone think it was funny to say like, oh, maybe she like this girl from TikTok, you know, and people start to believe it. And I started to have like a lot of hate and comments. And then this video went viral on a Dubai platform, Indonesia, all of these Muslim countries. And people from Indonesia were like attacking me. And I was like, who are you? Like, you know, they were saying like the most horrible things. They were saying
like they uncovered the actress
in
that video. Like you were a telenovela actress. You lived in Israel. I don't know. You both kind of had brown hair. I don't know what else is
we both use glasses.
Right.
That is like the
but with the proofs, they was so.
Yeah. So
you start getting death threats.
Yeah, totally. People were writing like, I know where you live. I know your families, where they work, everything. We're going to, you know, all of these threats, horrible threats that I don't even want to say. And I was like really afraid. I called to the police and I said, you know, I'm having these horrible threats, and they were like, okay, so can you check where are they from? And we just found out most people were like from Indonesia and all of these countries, and they were like, okay, so we can do anything because it's not like an actual threat.
Right.
But I was like really nervous, you know. I was nervous also like for going to Jerusalem because there's a lot of Arabs here, and I don't know if they are actually meaning what they're writing, you know. It was like really hard. And I was like a month in my house, not going out like to a lot of places, and it was horrible. And also like a channel from Israel came to make an interview about it, but when the interview came out, like they speak a lot of, you know, she used to be an actress in Mexico and this and that, and now this video came up, and they didn't explain right away that it wasn't me. So a lot of people, the people that didn't see like the interview at the end,
they didn't watch till the end.
They didn't watch to the end. They thought it was actually me. So they start to writing me like things, and it hurts a lot because it's Israeli people, you know. And for me it was horrible, and I answered to every single Israeli who writes me, and I was
what
like,
did you say?
You have to watch the interview till the end because I explained that it's not me and we're not even like look alike. And for me it's important me to watch it till the end. And they were like, oh, okay, but they were like also cursing, you know. But
and we at Aish we put out a statement immediately that said that is unequivocally, that is not you. They had nothing to do with that video, and that is not you in the video.
Yeah.
It was very painful to be in the center of it.
And I remember when I speak to Jackie that she
did the
pre-interview, she questioned me like, do you have an answer? Like, why this came to you? Did you find something relevant? And I was like, no, this thing, like this thing particularly, I didn't find like what Hashem wants for me to do. But after that I realized that maybe Hashem wants me to like speak louder of what is happening, and you know, be more brave and don't be afraid to show on social media what's actually happening in Israel. Because if you see my content before that, I was like, really, you know, I want to be politically correct. I don't want to show a lot about the war. Like, I'm not.
You did a lot of Jewish education, but not a lot about Israel and politics.
Yeah, totally. And after that, I say like, I don't care. Everything that I saw, everything that I experienced, I will share, because I think in that way people will really actually realize why we are going through, you know. Right. And it's really important because in Spanish there are not like a lot of people who's living here and who is sharing what's happening every day. So for me, it was like really important to assume this responsibility, and I was like, okay, I'm doing this. I'm sharing everything about the war, everything that I feel, everything that we are going through, and people are starting to understand like better because you see a video on your language. Yes. Someone is explaining, someone who lives in there. So I think after she asked me like, what this brings to you?
The purpose.
Yeah, the purpose, I think it is that to change the way I was like showing everything in social media, and to show like nothing is pink and beautiful. We are suffering, and I want to share that with people also.
Hannah, do you feel like your backgrounds coming from a Catholic, Mexican, more secular background, and then changing your whole life now and living as an observant Jew in Israel and then speaking Spanish and English and Hebrew, all of this allows you to speak to so many people in so many different languages. And when I say languages, I'm putting in quotes because it doesn't just mean the language, but it's in the style that they can receive and accept the information and connect with people in a way that maybe others can't.
Yeah, I think everything, it's like we are like a puzzle, and it helps us every single piece that we need to make our purpose in life, so the better way. So yeah, I think everything, like I used to have a YouTube channel, like back in the day when YouTube was like the big thing. And then I helped the rabbi also to make the rabbi I studied with, I helped him to make Torah videos, every single thing that I learned and everything. I definitely use it nowadays, and it's beautiful how Hashem give like all of these experiences, and then you are like, oh, I'm using it. It's.
I also feel very much. I look back and I say nothing was wasted.
Yeah.
Everything. I'm tapping into every skill, every single emotion, every single life experience, every single heartbreak. And every single win in order to got to this point in my life today and be doing the work that I'm doing. So on a personal level, on a professional level,
of course.
Very much. So do you ever wake up and say I cannot believe this is my life? And do you say it only from a good place, or do you sometimes say I cannot believe this is my life?
I'm going to be honest, sometimes in the both ways,
Because I feel the same way. So I had to ask it because I feel, so tell me first in a challenging way, this wasn't what my life was supposed to look like, and then we'll end on the positive.
So in a challenging way, I think, I used to live with a help lady in my house. So every time I just have to be involved with the everyday, with the cleaning and folding laundry and everything. It's like, oh, I can't believe this is my life. But, when I see my kids and my husband and everything, it's like, wow, I can't believe this is my life,
Hannah, we're so similar, just a few years apart, but so similar because we don't have a cleaning lady.
Yeah.
But when I'm mopping, I always think I cannot believe that this is my life.
Yeah.
I grew up, we had 2 houses on our property.
Okay.
We lived in one home, and the second home was for the help.
Oh.
And it was a couple. It wasn't just a cleaning lady. It was a couple. He took care of the grounds and the driving and the repair stuff. She took care of the cooking and the cleaning. I never lifted a finger. I never folded a piece of laundry. I never put my fork in the sink. And I just feel not that I agree with that. And I definitely am so pleased that I raised my children in a different way. But sometimes when I'm down there, sweating and in the nitty gritty of the cleanup, I cannot believe,
Yeah, totally.
But like you said, I feel like I am raising my kids in a beautiful way, in the most beautiful place, understanding what's the most important thing in life, and with a sense of responsibility to themselves and to the Jewish people. And I do like that we live a simpler lifestyle here in Israel than we do in the diaspora. I definitely think it's less materialistic, more focused on the spiritual.
Yeah, and also, as you said, everything that we've been through help us. And I used to be a cleaning lady, and if it wasn't because of that, you wouldn't know. I wouldn't know what to do in my house,
It's so funny. So one of my social media managers said she grew up similar to me, and now she's married with a little baby, and she had to hire someone just to teach her how to clean. She doesn't intend to have a full-time cleaning lady, but just for a few times to come to teach her how to keep house, because she doesn't know. So you already came to the marriage with the experience on the job.
Yeah, thankfully.
So Hannah, you are a trained actress.
Yeah.
Would you ever consider doing if a part or opportunity came to you for shtisel but in Spanish?
I never think about it actually, but when I realized in Israel there is a smooth way, how do you say, a modest way to act and everything. I said, why not? You never know, and I'm open to all of the opportunities, but it's not something that I'm looking for, or,
Right.
I feel that at this time of my life, I just a different chapter, not in the acting one.
Yes.
But if it came like an opportunity and it works with my values, for sure.
Right. I love it. And like you said, not in the acting chapter, because that there is, again, we're acting. It's pretend, it's make believe, it's entertainment. And now you get to be on the stage, the world stage even, but being so truthful and so much yourself.
Yeah.
Like to be known for yourself and your feelings and your values and your opinions. And so that's really, really special. It's very, it's authentic and it's also very vulnerable. Do you ever feel like vulnerable?
Yeah, because I share all of my life. Yeah. I share like who is my husband, my family, and everything. And sometimes it's vulnerable, but at the same time, I decided to do it that way. So all of these comments and, not that nice, I'm just like, okay, maybe this is like a boring person.
Yeah, correct. It's about them. It's not about you.
Personality.
Correct, completely. So I know growing up, I had such a vision of success and I had a timeline for myself and what I would achieve. I wanted to be at 25 years old on air as a mainstream network, camera anchor woman. And at 30, I wanted 5 kids. And at 50, I wanted to be a retired multimillionaire, which I'm still praying for. I'll say it here at this space. But I'm sure you had a vision of what success was.
Yeah.
What does success look like for you now?
Like for me, success, it was like not getting married, travel around the world, and now I see it totally different. Like for me, success is to have a family, to have a happy marriage, and to work in what you love and, to share something with people, something meaningful. Because when I used to be an actress, everything was around like if the directors want me, like if I'm enough for the character, and now it's everything about me and I decide what I want to show. And I also have a positive voice to people. So I think that's amazing and I love that.
It's so empowering.
Yeah.
And being an observant Jewish woman living in Israel, it's what you expected, or any surprises that, when you were like, I want this, I'm all in, I signed up for this, anything that you're surprised about?
The first time I came to Israel, I was surprised that there's people that don't keep Shabbat. I can't believe that. I know in Mexico it happened because my friends weren't observant, but I thought in Israel everyone is religious. That was like my thought. And then I just realized that it's not like that. And for me, it was really shocking. I also didn't think that there's no kosher restaurants in Israel. And then I realized, and it was like, whoa.
Yeah.
So
there are unkosher restaurants.
Yes. Yeah, there are. So for me, it was really challenging not to judge. Like rather of something else, I was like really judging, and Hashem, God makes everything like the exact thing. Like my husband's family, they're not observant. So for me, it was really like challenging, not to judge. But I understand that side of Judaism also, and I started to learn and not judge and know that we are just part of the orchestra, like a music, orchestra. Yeah. And we are all like playing different instruments, but we are at the end of the day making melody. So, yeah, that was like the most challenging thing, I think, not to judge and to understand that everyone is having their own relationship with God, and I don't have to like be the judge for anything.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that you said that. I love that you gave that lesson, and it is such an important Jewish lesson not to judge others.
Yeah.
And it's very hard.
Yeah.
It's very hard. And we all know we don't want to be judged. Yeah. It's very hard not to look over the fence and be like, well,
Yeah.
So I love that you said that. Hannah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us on No Reservations. Now when the cameras are off, we can chow down a little bit more and really enjoy our sushi. I love speaking to you.
Thank you so much.
I love that you're my friends.
Me too.
I love that we're part of each other's lives. I didn't know that we were connected prior, but I love that now in all of our connections. I love you so much.
Me too. Thank you so much for inviting me. I feel special.
You are. You are.
Thank you so much.
Great.
Beautiful.
Take a breath with me. What we just witnessed wasn't just a story. It was an absolute transformation. A reminder that who we were or who we are is not who we must be. And that sometimes the most extraordinary journeys begin with the smallest whisper of curiosity. Hannah's life teaches us that truth has a way of finding us. Her story shows us what strength looks like, not on a stage, not under the spotlight, but in those terrifying moments when the world misunderstands you, or mislabels you, or even turns against you. And even then, she chose dignity. She chose courage. She chose purpose. What inspires me most is that Hannah didn't just convert to Judaism. She converted her entire life, her identity, her future, her sense of mission. She walked away from fame and fortune toward truth. And through her videos, her voice, her honesty, and her bravery, she now carries a message across continents that Judaism is alive, that Israel is real, and that transformation is possible for every single one of us. If today's conversation touched you, if it opened your heart, challenged your thinking, or reminded you of the power of following your inner spark, please like, subscribe, comment, and share this episode. Your support helps us bring more voices, more stories, and more light into this world. Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up. And thank you for joining us on this journey with no filters, no fear, and no reservations.